for hemp, for cannabis, used in many different ways, and we certainly need an agricultural commissioner that will point out the tens of thousands of acres of land, of farmland, that could be usable in Texas and is not being used. Because I think that's something that hemp could be grown on, possibly. So it's good that this is a campaign issue, and I think that's what we're moving towards, and that's what we want to see. Regardless of which party you are for, what we want to see is this is a campaign issue. We want to see it, the wets versus the dries version of today for cannabis. That's what it was in the Prohibition era, whenever they were repealing alcohol prohibition. You had politicians that weren't called just Republicans and Democrats. They were called wets and dries because it crossed party lines, and there were some on both sides that were for or against. So let's not worry about whether everyone wants the exact lifestyle or party as we do. Let's worry about achieving our goals. That's what we need to be doing on this issue anyway. And we really appreciate Kinky Friedman coming. I look forward to meeting. I understand he's not able to stay for the after party, but I would love to hear what he has to say while we are here, and we'll do Q&A afterwards and address questions for all of the speakers.
I'm going to death. Hello, I'm David Dewhurst. I'm 69 years old, though I read at the 71-year-old level. And I've got my last will and testament worked out. When I die, I'm to be cremated, and the ashes are to be thrown in Rick Perry's hair. A few weeks ago, I was showing some out-of-state friends around Austin, and one of them said, "Hey, that's a beautiful statue of Rick Perry you all put up there." And I said, "That is Rick Perry." That's kind of what's happened with the Agriculture Commissioner's office. It's become a Republican stepping stone. And, well, I got nothing against the last occupant. They just keep moving up the ladder. And like all politicians, they don't do a damn thing. They talk a lot. And we get nothing done. So, what I'm asking myself is it good for Texas? That's the question that you want to ask. And I noticed no other candidate appears to be mentioning pot or hemp, even though we made this the centerpiece on the table. The two centerpieces. For example, what country do you think is the world's #1 hemp producer? Do you know?
Canada. Oh.
China is correct.
China.
And who do you think is their biggest customer?
U.S.
No, it's Willie Nelson. That's the U.S., of course. Texas could have and should have and still can take over the #1 role producing hemp. Anybody who cares about water and conserving water should be interested in growing hemp. This is not a Republican or Democratic thing. You know? This is not a left or right issue. And it's shocking to me that all they will talk about is education. That's what Wendy's talking about. That's what David Dewhurst is talking about. Meanwhile, we're 49th in education. Thank God for Alabama. And ironically, pot, of all things, lifting the prohibition on pot, could fund education. So I'm not talking about it, I'm telling you how we fund it. Now, I've had some strange people in my life, which I've learned a lot of things since I started this campaign. And that is, one of them is that you can go up to the most redneck deputy sheriff any place in Texas and ask him, and he will be for legalizing pot. 99 times out of 100. I've yet to meet a law enforcement guy who doesn't think we're losing the war on drugs really badly. And they think that we should legalize. And those are the ones I've talked to. I talked to an 85-year-old man in Medina, Texas, the old guys that drink coffee in the morning. He says he's for legalizing pot because it would effectively castrate the Mexican drug cartel. And he is not wrong, folks. It would make us the new cartel. The Texas taxpayers. Now, you may or may not know this. In 2010, according to the Dallas Observer, 74,000 nonviolent pot arrests were made in Texas. 74,000. The cost was $250 million to prosecute these to the taxpayers. Then when these guys are incarcerated, I don't need to go into that with you, but as I think you know, once you're incarcerated for a year, a couple of years in a private prison chain, there's a hell of a lot of doors that close in your life. And you can go down for a job interview, and you can do a great interview, and they'll ask you, is there anything else you'd like to tell us? And you tell them you served a little time for this, and you'll never get the job. And so cold facts are that these 74,000, we could have put them through Harvard cheaper than it cost us to incarcerate. In this group, there are 7 times as many Hispanics and African Americans as whites. So something is really wrong with this picture. It's not criminal justice, it's criminal injustice. And the green thread of agriculture runs through this criminal justice. Now you talk to cops, and they'll tell you every single night they get a call, some guy's had a few drinks and beat up his wife. And they've got to deal with this domestic mess. Now, they say they've never heard of a case of a guy smoking a few joints and beating up his wife. Because he forgets to beat up his wife. He picks up a bag of Doritos or something. So we've got criminal justice, we've got law enforcement. I hasten to mention that we have the finest cancer hospital in the world, MD Anderson, arguably, with absolutely no medicinal marijuana program. And I don't know what you think of Sanjay Gupta and the documentary he did, Weed. But the one thing that really interested me, on top of the amazing story of the little girl that was having 400 seizures a week and was immediately down to 1, and now there's a whole pilot program of a bunch of kids that have epilepsy, is the Israeli scientist. I am a proud Red Sea pedestrian. And the fact is, in Israel, they're now serving up pot in the major hospitals in Tel Aviv for all kinds of patients. And of course they're giving it to people with Parkinson's, to people with Alzheimer's, to autistic kids, all of them. And with very, very good results. And the Israeli scientists have determined that pot kills cancer cells. Now, folks, I mean, if this be true, and I'm sure it is, CNN has to have some kind of fact checkers working on that. You can't just make a statement like that. So if the Israeli scientists are working on this, do you think America is working on this? It doesn't look like it to me. Texas certainly isn't. But if this turns out to be true, this is going to be the medical discovery of the century. I mean, this is going to be, you know, the Nobel Prize for Medicine or something is going to go to the Israeli scientists, not to the American ones. All right, so I'm just sick of a top oncologist having to tell a chemo patient where he can get drugs. He would recommend, they're all out of pharmaceutical stuff, it doesn't work, he would say, go to East Austin. That's basically what they tell you. And that's a disgrace. Now, When Prohibition happened the first time, the turf wars ended immediately. I'm not saying that that would happen here. I am saying that the border would clean up enormously. That I think the turf wars there would really, really drop. And I mean, I don't think it would kill the cartels, but I think they'd move on to something else. So from every standpoint that you look at, from education, from the environment, from the fact that hemp puts nutrients into the ground, and cotton doesn't, and that cotton uses up 25, you know this stuff, uses 25% of the pesticides in the world go to cotton. Hemp, zero pesticides required. Now, I mean, folks, the farmers are going to get this. They already do. And I'm predicting in a year or two, if I win this thing, the Poteet Strawberry Festival might well be called something else. So let me just say, my detractors are mentioning that I'm not serious. Whenever I hear this a lot. I'm not serious, he's not serious, he's not serious, he's not serious. When I hear that, it makes me feel good. I mean, it makes me feel that they're running scared. And I will tell you that nothing's as serious as a comedian when he's telling the truth. And the truth is that I only smoke dope when I'm with Willie Nelson. I do not smoke it usually. I'm kind of like Waylon Jennings, who said pot is a lazy man's drug. Willie, when I visited him a few months ago in Hawaii, he smoked a lot of his pot. And I got over at his house, and I got so high I needed a step ladder to scratch my ass. And Willie should be the poster boy for pot, since he smokes like a truckload every day. He's never missed a note on stage or forgotten a lyric that I've seen. And as we were leaving his house, remember the man is what, 81 years old? He's got what they call, I guess, a speed bag, a punching bag, about 6 feet off the ground in his garage. Willie just casually jumps up and just kicks the hell out of this speed bag. And then he tells me he's a black belt. He's a second degree, but it doesn't matter.
What?
Quite remarkable. So, and of course, then I had a reporter, a young guy, ask me last week, do I think I could get Willie Nelson to do something that would help agriculture? I told him, well, look, this guy's whole adult life he's been giving to Farm Aid, an organization that he set up, which gives money to small farmers. And he's done more than all the ag commissioners put together. And when you think of ag commissioners, there have been some really weak ones, and there have been some that, but they're all pretty traditional. We have not really had a proactive ag commissioner in a long time. In fact, the last ag commissioner I remember, Reagan Brown, was before Hightower. He called a big press conference with television cameras, and he put his hand into an ant bed and determined to leave it there for 5 minutes to prove that the fire ants had not reached Texas yet. And he went into anaphylactic shock. Got an ambulance out here to the hospital. Okay, so I'm pretty well wrapped up with this. I do think that young people need somebody in politics that they can look up to. And I intend to bring, as I told Willie, and he asked me why I'm getting back into politics, I said to bring courage, imagination, and common sense back to politics. And Willie said, that's what I've been missing. I don't know. All right, do we have any questions or any comment on this? Just to say that I'm feeling very, very good about this, that the cause is bigger than the candidacy. I don't see how we can lose, because I'm telling you, the Republicans get this, and if they don't get it, if I win this thing, March 4th, we've got 8 or 9 months just to show them the economics of it. which are so simple. Colorado, folks, is a little tiny pissant state. And they're making so much more than they ever dreamed they would make. And we can multiply that by what, 250, 300 times? We'll give you some idea of what Texas might do in terms of economically. And this is kind of important because I want Texas to do whatever the hell it wants to do. If you want to fix the border, you want to help Planned Parenthood, whatever the hell you want to do, you want us to have the power to do it. And the government right now is not doing that. The government is waiting for the feds to do everything, and they have a very arrogant attitude, our state government, which is, yeah, let Oklahoma have all the gambling revenues in Louisiana, and let Colorado have pot revenues, and California the medicinal marijuana revenues. We don't need them. Well, we evidently do need them, or we wouldn't be 49th in education. We were ranked 21st in education when I was in college. Now we're 49. That is something that can certainly be fixed. So I'm just telling you, the green thread runs through all of our lives, runs through everything. We should clear out those prison cells of those people that are nonviolent pot arrestees. I mean, they should not be incarcerated, especially if you see that 7 times as many Hispanics and blacks are in that number. I mean, something's really wrong with that system. And you know, the last point I'll make, in closing, finally, is that Bill O'Reilly and Nancy Grace have both been commenting about the gateway drug. If we legalize this, every kid in high school will be smoking dope. Well, the gateway drug in Texas is beer, all right? That's number 1. It's not pot. And number 2, these kids, and raised the age a little to 24 years old. A 24-year-old kid in America has lived under 3 dope-smoking presidents his whole life. 24 years of dope-smoking presidents now they've had. It's hypocritical to put this kid away. Now, I forgot the point just before that, which what was I at? Just closing. Oh yeah, Bill O'Reilly and Nancy Grace. They're saying that the kids are going to all be smoking dope. The truth is just the opposite. The truth is, if you got a kid and you don't want them to smoke dope, and you don't want them to get a tattoo, say, well, you can lay down the law and say, it's against the law. No, I'm telling you right now, don't smoke dope and don't get tattoos. You can do that. Or you can tell them, look, I really wish you wouldn't do these things, you know. I hope you don't, because I'll be really disappointed. Please don't do it. If you're going to do it, I hope you won't. Realizing that the allure of doing the forbidden for young people is so damn strong, to do it behind the backs of authority, whether it's you or the law. And the minute you make this stuff legal, many people will be as bored with it as you are listening to this. So they will. That's not a problem. So let me just say, let us do it now. We all feel it coming. We know we're going to legalize. But if we wait 15 or 20 years to do this, folks, we will be the dinosaur. I promise you. We will be the caboose on the train. And if there's any young people here today, the caboose is the last car. Thank you very much.